Osmosis. This is a kind of diffusion, and here water molecule water molecules move across the semi-permeable membrane, and that's why water obeys the law of diffusion. Now, what is osmosis? So, osmosis is the movement, or is the process in which movement of water molecules through a semi permeable membrane takes place. So this movement takes place through the semi-permeable membrane, and we call it osmosis. So this is, suppose, that membrane, and suppose this is one side and this is the another side. Okay, what is this? I bear with my drawing. Oh man, yes. I want to show that uh, left side is more dilute, and this is concentrated. So dilute and concentrated is quite a subjective term, because here I'll take dilute means it has more water content, more water content, and it has less water content. All right. So now through the semi-permeable membrane, this kind of fluid go across to the other side, and the opposite reverse also happens. So this can happen. This is quite normal in the process of osmosis. Both side of the liquids, or the both side of fluid, can move across each other or across the semi-permeable membrane, but the resultant is that after the process completes, or after the completion of this process of osmosis, the concentration of water becomes equal both the sides. So it intermixes in such a way, it diffuses in such a way that the concentration of water on the left hand side is exactly the same as the concentration of water on right hand side. All right. So this is high concentration of water. Earlier it was low concentration of water. Now the concentration of water is equal both the sides. All right. And there's one more thing. There's a note for this, that osmosis is also affected by the amount of substances dissolved in water. So what is dissolved in water, in what quantity, it also affects the process of osmosis. All right. So Now we'll discuss types of solution, and here we'll discuss only those types which are related to process of diffusion, or I would rather say water content. So in respect of the water content, I'm defining three kind of solutions in terms of the water content in it. The first one is hypertonic. So it has higher water concentration. So this is a kind of solution. Hypertonic solutions are kind of solution which has higher water concentration. So if there is a cell, and outside of the cell, the outside environment, if it is a hypertonic solution outside, then this is high water concentration. It means the water will go inside the cell by the process of osmosis, and it will increase after this process completes. It will increase the size of cell, because cell will get some amount of water from outside. So the net exchange in this process is that it will get uh, water from outside solution, because outside solution is dilute, and thus um, we have a net movement across the SPM, this semi-permeable membrane. So there is a net movement of H2O through this SPM, semi-permeable membrane. Then there is one other type of solution which is called isotonic. So here in this kind of solution, the water concentration is moderate. It means if we talk about a cell, the water content inside the cell is exactly same as the water concentration outside the cell, like the in the outside solution. So the result will be there will be no net movement of water or CO2. Sorry, I'm so sorry. How come water becomes CO2? It's H2O, and no net movement of water through semi-permeable membrane. Cool. Now this third type of solution, which is called hypertonic. In these type of solution, the water concentration is is low, and if there is a cell in cell, and if the outer environment solution is hypertonic, it means the water concentration of the cell, inside cell, is high, and that of the outside cell is low. It means water will move in the outside direction from the cell, and it will result in of the reduction of size of the cell. So cell will reduce in size, and there is net movement of water molecules. Now, why every time I use net movement? What is this net movement? Earlier, like in the video where we talked about diffusion, and even in this video osmosis, in the beginning I discussed that through this semi-permeable membrane there are movements taking place. Every time there will be movement. If there is no net movement, even then movements are taking place every time through this SPM. But net movement, like after this process completes, what happens, that is most important thing. Like if after the completion of this process, if we see there is change in concentration of water inside or outside, then there is a net movement. And if after the completion of the process, if there is no change in the concentration of uh, water inside or concentration of water outside, it means that this there is no net movement of water molecule. It means the concentration remains the same outside and inside. So net movement is like the resultant movement. Movements will take place, but what is the result we are getting out of it after the process completes? So these are the three types of uh, this solutions. So, and we'll talk about the application of of osmosis in the cell. It's very simple. We can see this freshwater organisms, you know, unicellular freshwater organisms. They actually go through this process and exchange water. And this also happens with the plant cells. Plant cells also use the process of osmosis in its roots, the plant roots, to get water from the soil. Cool. Now, there is one process called endocytosis. Endocytosis, it is the flexibility of the cell membrane to get or to enable cell to enable cell to engulf in food from the external environment. So this endocytosis is the process by which cell by which unicellular organisms uh, get its food by engulfing in food from the outer environment. By the picture I'm gonna show you how it happens. Suppose this is amoeba, unicellular organisms, and if he finds a food here, this is his food. All right, he wants to get this food. Now what he will do is, this membrane is so flexible, the cell membrane is so flexible that he can change the shape uh, of his body, and finally he tries to engulf in the food, and in its final stage he will do something like this. He will get the food here, and finally he will dissolve the food inside. So this is the engulfing in of food from the outer or external environment. Alright, thanks for watching this video. uh, there's nothing more here than left, what I think. And in the next video we'll talk about the structure, and that is the name of that video is cell part 2, structure, internal structure. Alright, thanks for your time.